My name is Naomi, a 28-year-old banker. It has been 3 years since I married Tony, the second son of the well-known classic hotel in this area. People often tease me saying, "So you're going to be a hotel manager," but the hotel is managed by my in-laws. The eldest son and his wife are the successor owners and the front office managers, with Tommy supporting them as part of the support staff. Encouraged by my husband Tommy and my in-laws, I've continued working at the bank where I was employed before our marriage. My sister-in-law even jokes that I should handle the accounting when it's our turn to take over, so I'm currently studying bookkeeping to be of help in the future. I seldom get to visit my in-laws' hotel, which is quite exclusive. Before we got married, as a sign of good relations, my family was invited to stay at the hotel. My family is pretty ordinary, and our family trips mostly consisted of camping when I was little. My parents and grandparents, who always wanted to stay at this hotel, were nervous about not making any mistakes, given that we were now related to the owners. However, when we actually stayed, the hospitality was first class. The food was delicious and the staff, including my in-laws, bid us farewell. It was a perfect experience with no discomfort at all, and we were deeply moved. It was my first time actually staying there, and I gained a new appreciation for Tony and my in-laws, who created such a wonderful place. It made me realize the responsibility of being a wife of someone from such an incredible family, and I resolved to be a wife who wouldn't embarrass them. Amidst all this, my brother Tom got a bit carried away with the luxury. Tom, with his strong ambition and penchant for showing off, seemed thrilled at the prospect of being distantly related to the owners of a famous hotel. It appears he took my in-laws' casual invitation to visit any time literally and got carried away. After my marriage, we received another invitation when the hotel received its most popular and highest grade steak. Unlike my parents, who remained apologetic as before, Tom began demanding excessive services. He started with requesting room upgrades, then arbitrarily added dishes to his meals, and freely requested various drinks. When the staff hesitated over his unexpected requests, he said, "I'm a relative of the hotel's owners. Don't you recognize this person?" And pointed at me. The staff had no reason to know me as I'm not involved in the hotel's management yet. "Stop it, Tom. You're embarrassing me." I tried to stop him, but he insisted on calling Tommy. Feeling guilty about causing a scene, I reluctantly called Tommy, who agreed to accommodate Tom's requests. I was mortified, thinking how my family must seem so rude to the staff despite being guests. "I wish I could disappear," was all I thought. My parents felt the same, saying if we're invited again, we should decline out of respect. "We'll apologize and express our gratitude to Tony's parents, and please do the same from your side," Mom said to me. Despite my parents doing nothing wrong, it was all because of Tom getting carried away. I apologized profusely to Tommy, but he just laughed it off. My in-laws also told me not to worry about it and were actually saddened to hear that my parents now felt hesitant to stay at the hotel. Such generous in-laws. However, Tom, emboldened by having his unreasonable requests fulfilled, became even more presumptuous. A year after my marriage, Tom got married and demanded hotel stay vouchers as wedding gifts. I refused these requests. Then he and his wife began showing up unannounced for stays every long weekend. Tom would drive up to the grand entrance in a compact car, drop Tony's name, claim to be a relative, and leave his car there. This was in stark contrast to other guests, who, even with luxury cars, would park in the parking lot and walk to the entrance. Despite many instances of being fully booked during long weekends, he would say, "I'm family. How can I not get a room? Is this hotel so poor that it can't accommodate important guests?" Tony and my in-laws would step in, finding him a room or an alternative. Furthermore, Tom insisted on having the spa reserved exclusively for him and his wife, arguing that they wanted to use it together. This was granted, even though it was during a time with fewer guests, just for his convenience. This led to complaints from other guests, leaving Tommy scrambling to handle the situation. Tom would shamelessly enjoy meals, summon the chef to demand off-menu items with expensive ingredients, and get rowdy while drunk, ruining the tranquil atmosphere of the luxury hotel. Yet, I'm so grateful to Tommy and my in-laws for dealing with Tom's antics every time. I often found out about his visits after the fact and, in a panic, called Tom. But he just brushed me off, saying, "Don't sweat the small stuff." It's great that my sister married into such a good family. Such ridiculous demands were made, and he wouldn't listen to reason. Tom and his wife's stays during the busy holiday periods were quite noticeable due to their crude behavior. Despite the cold stares from others, they didn't tone down their actions, leading to negative feedback in surveys and website reviews. One bad review seemed to lead to more, which adversely affected the hotel's rating. Longtime regular customers started looking at us skeptically, wondering if we were favoring family, and began distancing themselves. Seeing Tony and my father-in-law William struggling with the situation made me feel guilty for not being able to stop Tom. When he calls asking for a reservation, it's easy to say no, but when they show up unannounced, we're stuck. During another holiday, Tom and his wife came again. Despite the lower ratings, it's still a well-known hotel, and during the holidays it was as busy as ever, fully booked with no vacancies available. We had no choice but to offer Tom and his wife one of the old rooms that we don't usually use. Unsatisfied, Tom shockingly wrote a review on the website, complaining that despite being a regular, he was made to stay in an old, dark, and dirty room that was not usually used. I came here looking forward to a relaxing stay, but the room was dusty and the worst. The service was bad, and the food wasn't good either. It's all appearances. The hotel has grown arrogant due to its long-standing prestige, not valuing its customers. He wrote all these complaints in a scathing review. I was shaking with anger. They had the audacity to show up without a reservation, didn't pay anything, and still have the nerve to complain like this. It was clear from the content of the review that Tom was the author, but we had no concrete evidence to prove it. However, on the night the review was posted, I received a message from Tom saying, "Look at that bad review. So stupid." Faced with the necessity to address this review, William reluctantly replied with an apology, promising to make their next visit exceptional. I was so embarrassed by my brother's behavior that I didn't even want to acknowledge him as my sibling. Let's write a post saying that this person is Tom, the hotel owner's son, and his wife, who arrived without a reservation and didn't pay a cent, staying in a usually unoccupied room. We can get the internet users to criticize him for us. I suggested to Tommy and my in-laws. We can't do that. It might lead to you being attacked. My father-in-law objected, seizing on the concern that bad rumors in the hospitality industry could be damaging. Tom took advantage of the situation. He contacted William. "I'll be bringing a very important guest next time, so make sure we're treated grandly," Tom said. "You know what might happen if there are any mishaps, right?" This was accompanied by a threatening tone. It was as if he thought he was a king. When did Tom become such a despicable person? Staying at a hotel beyond his status was the beginning of it all. I regret ever bringing him along, thinking it was just a life experience. Understandably, this time Tony and William were furious. Employee dissatisfaction was reaching a breaking point, and they couldn't deal with Tom anymore. My parents and I apologized for all the trouble caused so far and assured them that he wouldn't be a nuisance anymore. We told him to do whatever necessary if we couldn't stop Tom. My parents and I reached out to Tom. When we pressed him about his actions, he said, "I just came because you said I could come anytime. Why are you mad? Offering family services is normal." He refused to listen to our concerns. Even my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's relatives stay at regular rates, I argued. Tom's obliviousness to his wrongdoing was exasperating. Ignoring our advice, my brother and his wife brought the president of a client company to the hotel, apparently intending to entertain them. Such audacity. The president was accompanied by their spouse and daughter's family. Tom was overjoyed, thinking he could impress the president. He thought the president might like him and thus lead to securing a contract. I was secretly observing as Tony had asked, but felt like grabbing Tom by the collar and throwing him out right then. Tony and William, prepared for the day, promptly escorted the president's family to a nice room. Guided by Tommy, Tom then demanded, "Not just for us. Make this stay free for our guests too, okay? This is a business entertainment. If I can impress the president here, my performance at work will improve. You understand, right? I'm counting on you. You know what will happen if anything goes wrong, right?" he added, a veiled threat in his tone. The Tom I knew was ambitious but normal. When did he become someone who resorts to threats? I even thought of getting the police involved, but Tommy and William reassured me. "Naomi, it's not your fault. Don't worry, just act normally," they said. Relying on their assurance, we decided to observe how things would unfold. Then came dinner time. Tom acted as if it was his own hotel. "Our cuisine is exceptional. You're in for a treat," he said smoothly, escorting the president's family. My brother and his wife seemed quite in their element. The more I saw, the angrier I got. I wanted to knock some sense into him right there. The first thing served to the group upon being seated was an aperitif. The glasses were beautiful, but the contents were just cheap liquor. They were toasting and enjoying themselves, but Tom seemed oblivious to the bland taste. Meanwhile, the president's family, though puzzled, continued to chat amiably. Then the food arrived, and Tom and his wife panicked. Their table was laden with fast food, instant ramen, snack foods, bottled Coke, and canned beer. The CEO's family was stunned, looking over the table in surprise. Tom was furious. "Is this an insult? Call the owner right now," he demanded, summoning William. William and Tony arrived, calm as ever. "Yes, how can we help you?" William asked. "Well, it was pretty much the expected turn of events, wasn't it? What's this food? Are you joking?" Tom raised his voice, drawing attention from everyone around. "I'm not joking around here. What is this? It's like fast food. Bring out the real dishes," Tom shouted. "I apologize, but this is the meal provided for guests who stay without a reservation for free. Without a reservation payment, we are unable to prepare other dishes," William explained. Caught off guard by being called out for freeloading in front of the president he was entertaining, Tom stumbled over his words and glanced sideways at the president's family. The president, as well as his wife and daughter, were looking at Tom with cold, disapproving eyes. Then William delivered the final blow. Turning to the CEO, he explained, "I don't know what this gentleman told you to invite you here, but he frequently stays without paying, using his distant relation. That would be tolerable. But he's also been posting harmful reviews on our website, affecting our business. Since he's staying for free today, we regret that this is the only meal we can offer." William then smiled, trying to salvage the situation, revealing everything to the CEO. Tom turned pale. The CEO looked at Tom and said, "Is what I just heard true?" The client CEO asked Tom. "No, please stay. I never meant for something like this to happen." Tom stammered, caught off guard by this unexpected turn of events. "I've lost my appetite for dinner. I'll be leaving now, and I'll need to reconsider our future business dealings," the CEO said. He then stood up, ignored Tom's pleas to wait, and left the dining area with William. "Wait please, President. It's not what it looks like." Tom tried to stop them, but the only ones left behind were my brother and his wife. They were completely dejected, slumping down in defeat, drawing scornful glances from other guests. "They stayed without paying. I can't believe it. Unforgivable." "Maybe they're the ones who wrote that bad review on the website," guests murmured, creating a noisy atmosphere. Unable to let the guests dine peacefully, Tony and the staff escorted Tom and his wife out. "You ruined my business entertainment. What will I do if the deal falls through?" Tom protested loudly. "Be warned, if you continue to make a scene, we'll call the police," Tony warned. That quieted them down. To apologize to our guests for the inconvenience, I asked the chef to prepare a complimentary dish for each guest. It was unfortunate that they had to experience this unpleasantness during their otherwise lovely trip. In the end, the angry corporate president packed up and left, and upon hearing this, Tom also left the hotel. They couldn't do anything since they were threatened with police involvement. A few days later, the client CEO visited Tom's company. Tom turned pale upon seeing the client CEO at his office. "The other day, I wanted to discuss something with you," said the corporate president. "Please forgive me. I'm terribly sorry," Tom pleaded. "What exactly are you sorry for?" the CEO asked. "I intended to entertain, but it all turned into a mess." "Damn it, I told them to treat us right," Tom said. "You're missing the point. Don't you realize you're fundamentally mistaken?" the CEO responded. "What?" Tom was confused. "You took advantage of your sister becoming the hotel owner's son's wife and treated the hotel like it was your own. Just because you're a distant relative doesn't mean you can stay at that nice hotel for free and do whatever you like. That cannot be forgiven. Plus, inviting me there and trying to entertain me. The owner told me that you even threatened them to treat us nicely. I can't trust a company with such employees. I came today to cancel all our future contracts," the CEO declared. Tom's superiors, hearing this, were in a state of shock. Wait, please, is this true? They asked. Every word is true. I've been acquainted with the hotel owner for a long time. He confided in me about a troublesome relative who was taking advantage of his family's hotel. I didn't know it was one of your employees until I was invited for this entertainment. I witnessed everything at the hotel, and it was appalling, the CEO confirmed. We're very sorry. We will remove him from his current role. Please reconsider the business relationship, Tom's superiors pleaded. Unknown to them, the CEO had been observing Tom's behavior at the hotel with me, seeing how he threatened Tommy and everything else. Of course, they were fully aware of all the previous actions, as William had been consulting with them. It's natural that they would reconsider the business relationship given the circumstances. Tom was removed from his sales role and reassigned to a less critical support position within the company, with barely any job to do. The rumor that he was staying at the hotel without paying quickly spread within his company, making his work environment uncomfortable. My parents and I decided to cut ties with Tom. My parents made him vow to never approach the hotel again, including our family home, and wrote a pledge to that effect. We asked Tommy to bill Tom for all his unpaid stays, which amounted to a substantial sum. Tom begged for a payment plan, clearly overwhelmed. Meanwhile, the hotel benefited from the CEO's support. He's quite famous and praised our hotel in an interview, calling it a wonderful place. His endorsement, along with his assurance to his contacts that the negative reviews online were not to be believed, brought many new distinguished guests to the hotel. The gap between the online reviews and the actual experience at our hotel became a topic of discussion, with Tom's negative reviews ironically attracting more guests. The hotel is always fully booked, especially on weekends. Lately, I have been helping out with accounting and as a front office manager. It's all new to me, but I find it fulfilling to contribute to our guests' wonderful experiences.